What's going on, everyone? Pizza Buffet is live here for Week 5 in the NFL, presented by FanDuel. I'm Rob Pizzola, Pro Better, CEO of The Hammer. Take a minute here for people to file in as I see the chats going here in the early morning. Good morning to John, Michael, touchdown in my pants, always like that one. Cottage, George, Will, good to see everyone here in the chat this morning. We obviously got a London game going on, which is more interesting than I thought. 10-7 Browns at the half. We're going to see if Carson Wentz comes out for the second half as he went in for some early treatment there. But I'm going to get you through the rest of the games on today's board and just have like a little side eye, I guess, on the game going on in London. As you guys know, if you've been here regularly, I like to do like a little quick reality check off the top here. I know I've gotten a lot of messages so far from people who say they've done really well tailing picks on the show this year. They appreciate all the advice and stuff like that. And I'm glad that that's happened. But just a reminder to everyone out there, even as a pro bettor, I'm not spraying the board on Sunday mornings. I get most of my action in long time before Sunday. So I know things have gone really well this year, but you can attribute a lot of that to variance. If you want to get ahead of the early stuff, we got lots of stuff here on Forward Progress, including the Sunday reset tonight. We got Tuesday best bets. You got lots of opportunities to get in a little bit earlier over the course of the week. So just don't go nuts here with whatever I may say I like in today's games. Format is the same as usual. I'll hit every game. You're going to see a graphic with my numbers for each matchup. I'll tell you what I like, what I don't. I'll sprinkle in props when they're still widely playable across the entire market. Always shop for the best number, but make sure you check out FanDuel, our presenting sponsor. They often have a strong price. Later on in the show, we will do anytime touchdown scores as well. Again, same thing with those. I know we've hit some this year, extreme long shot prices. I'm going to go back to some extreme long shots later on today. They probably will lose, but I think they're edges. In the long run, you play them all. I think you'll come out ahead. This show is better with you in it. I don't check my phone. I don't even have my phone in the room with me right now. Left that charging. So if something breaks, drop it in the chat. I'll work it in if I can. We're not waiting on a ton of news today, but if anything comes out of right field, left field, whatever, throw it in the chat. If you can, right before we get into it, like the stream. Make sure you're subbed here on Forward Progress. Share it out with a friend if possible. Thank you for being here for Week 5. Let's get into it, starting with the Miami Dolphins and the Carolina Panthers. Full disclosure, I didn't do much with this game this week. Didn't really have a strong opinion, and we kind of saw a little bit of early week movement on this game with Carolina getting bet early and then Miami taking money back to get them back to a favorite. So as it stands right now, Miami small favorite, -1.5, -105 FanDuel. Total in the game's been bet down. It looks like FanDuel is the only spot where we're below 44 at this point as well. So just of note there. Really tough game to parse, in my opinion. You got injuries on both sides of the ball. Miami's been dealing with them all year, O-line and cornerback situations, plus they lose Tyreek Hill now. Carolina, their offense has been in flux as well. O-line issues. They lose another guard, Chandler Zavala, last week. They lose their slot corner, Chow Smith-Wade, dealing with Chuba Hubbard's injury as well. Dolphins survived last week. It was the Darren Waller touchdowns. They really didn't play all that well. This is their first game without Tyreek Hill. And the offense historically has looked completely different without him. Just not able to generate explosives without him on the field. With him there, nearly 11 plays of 10-plus yards per game. Without him, 3.5. Big drop off there. And that's my hesitation with Miami. Tua looked much more comfortable in the pocket last week. Carolina's pass rush isn't really built to punish him. Just 46 total pressures this year. They don't really have great edge rushers. So I know Miami's O-line's been shaking. I would expect a dose of like a lot of stuff underneath for the Dolphins. It's kind of been the way it's been all season long, but especially now without Tyreek, I think that's the way it's going to go. The real problem here for the Dolphins, their defense, 31st in success rate. They've allowed the league's worst completion percentage. They still don't have an interception. Bryce Young has a chance to bounce back, especially with Tet McMillan against that Miami secondary. They get Xavier Legette back as well. Not a great player, but every little piece helps. But the injuries are still brutal on the O-line. And at skill positions, like Jatavian Sanders is still out for them as well. I'm just not a big fan of the Carolina offense right now. If they cannot move the ball on this Dolphins defense, like that's it. That's it for Bryce Young. That's it for this Panthers offense. No edge, no strong edge either way in this game. Mason in the chat asks, you like Panthers teaser legs? I play less and less teasers now because the prices have gone up and up and up. Generally speaking, this would be a good one, especially at FanDuel, where you have the game at 1.5, use a 6-point teaser. You take Carolina up through 2 key numbers, through 3 and 7. Miami, in my opinion, is not a team that is built to win by margin, especially without Tyreek Hill. So, yes, I would like Carolina teaser looks. From a prop perspective, I played Xavier Legette over on receptions. Last I checked before coming to air, it was about 10 minutes before, he was at 2.5 at minus 108 to the over. Best number I could find in market was minus 105, so FanDuel's got a pretty good number there. When Legette was in there for week 1 and week 2, he took 78% and 80% of offensive snaps. He had 7 targets. He had 8 targets. He's going up against a bad secondary. I'm not a fan of Legette. He doesn't get a lot of separation generally, but I think for the usage that is projected in this type of game, that receptions number is way too low. So I like Xavier Legette over 2.5 receptions in this game. Moving it along here. Good morning, Mike Durso, Early Bird Capper, Ian Lights Out, Ronak, Anthony Glenn. Good to see everyone in the chat this morning. Dallas and the Jets. So for those that don't know, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. I try to break down their games as impartially as possible. I think I do a good job of doing that. Sometimes I'll bet on them. Sometimes I'll bet against them. In this game, I lean pretty strongly to the Jets. And we saw some Jets money come in yesterday afternoon, driving this down to Cowboys minus 1 in market. I actually make the Jets favored in this game. The Cowboys offense has been very creative. You've heard Suuma talk about that on Forward Progress this week with Brian Schottenheimer, multiple personnel looks. They've used play action well, but they are just running out of weapons now, right? With CeeDee Lamb out, Kevontae Turpin out, the O-line is a complete mess. We're waiting on the status of Tyler Smith, but they're going to be down center, guard, left tackle in BB, Booker, and Guyton. And if Smith doesn't go, you're potentially looking at 4 of your starting 5 O-linemen down. And it is just really hard to compete in the NFL when that's the case. Dak has been great, but this basically leaves him relying on quick passes to Jake Ferguson, depth wide receivers against a solid Jet secondary, or at least a decent Jet secondary. The Jets' defense is very high variance. They're 10th in success rate, but they're worst in explosive passes allowed. When the other team doesn't have an O-line, the explosive passes go down. And I think that's where the Jets have been hurt the most this year. Justin Fields looked a lot sharper coming back from concussion as the game went on. He'll use both his legs. Garrett Wilson. I mean, this is a horrible Dallas defense. Defense is a disaster. They're 32nd, dead last in drop back EPA. If you look at any metric across the league, they are bottom 3 in pass defense. And this is against not a challenging schedule so far. Jets offense has quietly been actually pretty efficient. Top 10 in offensive success rate is just turnovers that have killed them. And listen, bad teams are going to turn the ball over, but eventually this kind of turns. I think the Jets are much better than their 0-4 record suggests. And I make them favored in this game, and I bet them pretty heavily this week. So I'm going to be looking for the Jets to have a game here. But yeah, directionally I was correct. Maybe not far enough to get the Jets towards a favorite. But I mean, if I hadn't played anything now, Jets plus 104 at FanDuel is the best line in market. Jets plus 1.5 minus 106 at FanDuel, best line in market. So definitely, if you like the Jets, FanDuel is going to be your spot. I also played some George Pickens under on receiving yards. Full disclosure, I think I got some better numbers than were available now. I see at FanDuel now we got 71.5. Best I see is 73.5. I still would like the under there. I would just reduce my bet size. Again, lack of O-line prevents explosive plays. I think you will see Dallas try to get Pickens the ball very quickly at the line of scrimmage, but for him to break one downfield, it's going to be a little bit more challenging with the lack of offensive line for the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, keep it moving here. We got the Raiders and the Colts as our next game. And a little bit of Colts money late yesterday afternoon, early this morning. I think a lot of this is related to the Brock Bowers status. I mean, I saw the Schefter tweet. Bowers is dealing with the knee injury. He's suffering through that right now. Eventually, for that to get corrected, he's going to have to get some rest. But without Colton Miller, without Brock Bowers, in all likelihood, it's going to be really challenging for the Raiders. Now, there's mixed opinions on this game in market. I understand the point of view where you're kind of buying Indy at their highest. Not necessarily, it is market rating wise the highest, and the Raiders at their lowest. But matchup wise, Raiders losing Colton Miller. The downgrade at tackle is massive, enormous. You're going from one of the best left tackles in the league to one of the worst backups. And Geno Smith behind an O-line that cannot pass protect is a recipe for disaster. He's been bottom 5 EPA this year. His turnover-worthy play rate is through the roof. He's taken 12 sacks. This is not the recipe for success for the Raiders offense. They are going to need to be able to run the ball like they did last week. That was against the Bears' run defense. The Bears are dead last in run defense. With Colton Miller out, I just don't see the lanes being there. It's not that the Indy defense is amazing against the run, because they're not. They're like an average run defense, but they do have two pretty big guys in the middle of their defense, in Grover Stewart, DeForest Buckner. And also, they're going to own that line of scrimmage in this game. I just don't see the Raiders being able to generate much. On the other side, I think the Colts will be able to generate a lot. They're just one of 3 teams in the league that's top 10 in EPA on both sides of the ball. Defense has been great. So has the offense. Daniel Jones benefiting from very good protection. He's taking sacks at one of the lowest rates in the entire league, despite teams constantly blitzing him. So that O-line is held up. Number 1 in success rate. They're utilizing a ton of play action, an area that is like the weakness of the Raiders defense as well, where they are bottom 5 against play action. I was always above 7 this week. My number still includes a 50% chance of Brock Bowers playing, but that's not gonna happen here. So I lean Colts to take care of business at home here. Pretty brutal travel schedule for the Raiders to start the year as well, because they've just been going West Coast, East Coast, West Coast, East Coast. Indianapolis, not East Coast, but it's Eastern time zone. That's a lot of travel in the early going. Bowers confirmed out, early bird capper. From a prop look, I played Jonathan Taylor over on rushing yards. The biggest concern to him getting here, in my opinion, which is mid to high 80s, is a blowout potentially, where you get some backup backs in. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But decent shot that Taylor gets to 20-plus carries today. He's been pretty consistently getting 17, 18 a game, 1 game into the 20s or 2 games into the 20s. And I really think that this Colts O-line can bully the Raiders up front. So from a prop look, I like Jonathan Taylor over 86.5 rushing yards right now. FanDuel looks like it's actually the best available in market. Okay, we'll finish up all the early games here in just a second, but FanDuel is turning up the heat every Sunday with Power Hour, the ultimate live betting window where the action is wild and the rewards are even better. Here's how it works. Every Sunday from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, FanDuel is giving you a profit boost to use on live bets during the most intense stretch of the NFL slate. This is when those games flip. You get underdogs rallying, parlays are hitting, legends are made during the Power Hour. on FanDuel. And if you're watching it all go down, you've got extra firepower to use on your next bet. Open the FanDuel app between 3 and 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Claim your profit boost and make your move while the action unfolds. It's called the Power Hour for a reason. It happens every Sunday only on FanDuel. Head to FanDuel.com/forwardprogress to get started. Please play responsibly. You must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming, opt-in is required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts. 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. And this is a paid endorsement. Okay, before we move on here, if you haven't smashed that like button yet, there is almost 1,000 of you watching concurrently here across Twitter and YouTube. Please just smash that like button down below if you're in the YouTube stream. And if you want to get in on the comments, lots of people getting in on the comments, and we got a live game going on here as well, which I'm sure will occupy a lot of the chat over the rest of the show. But moving along here, still in the early window, we got the Broncos and the Eagles, and it's been all Broncos money earlier in the week. We saw some buybacks, so some support yesterday on the Eagles, and now sitting across the market in the 4.5 range. We also saw some money on the over yesterday. Pretty much the entire market was sub 43.5, and now that is up to 44.5 in some spots. Full disclosure, this is heavy market resistance for my opinions in this game, because I lean towards Denver and the under. Now, just a little betting lesson here. I very much respect the market. So I love when the market moves in my direction, when I get good numbers. When things are moving against me, I start to ask myself why. I try to come up with the rationale as to why that's going to be the case. But I'm not necessarily willing to fire against a lot of these Saturday, Sunday morning moves. In some cases, I will if I'm really strong about it. I think that this game has a very wide range of outcomes. Some of them are Denver winning by margin. Some of them are Philadelphia winning by margin. But I cannot get over the fact that the Eagles' offense just looks broken under their new OC. And until I see that change, I don't know that the priors for the Eagles' offense really matter. They're using way less play action. They're using way less motion. They're using almost no RPOs, which was a staple of the offense in the past. You also look at like down and distance splits. They're very, very predictable in terms of when they're running and when they're passing as well. So overall, that against a very good defense, Jalen Hurts is not being put in advantageous spots. The O-line has not been as dominant as years past. And it's really hard for me to lay these types of prices with the Eagles right now. Or conversely, it's actually really hard not to bet the opposite side in these types of games. Philadelphia is 28th in the league in net yards per play this year. It's a bottom 5 number. It's been special teams keeping them afloat. Back-to-back games where they have a block kicked return for a touchdown. One was a punt, one was a kick. The Broncos, on the other hand, yeah, I'm concerned about Bo Nix. I always am. I don't think Bo Nix is a very good quarterback, but the offense has been efficient. They're leaning on play action a lot more. Quick throws. They get some timely deep shots. They really stretch the field. And most importantly, the O-line has done really well in pass protection. Number 2 adjusted pressure rate. The run game is starting to look legit as they mix in RJ Harvey a little bit more. I mean, the Eagles' run defense, bottom 5 across every major category. They've had problems stopping it this year. Philly, 4-0. Every game has been a one-score margin. Their plus 20 point differential is historically weak for a team that's 4-0. I lean Denver to cover. I lean towards the under as well. Understand that there is a lot of opposition on the game, but that's where I'm at. From a prop perspective, had Hitman on in the fourth quarter with me when we were doing Broncos and Bengals on Monday night, and he's been talking about how the Broncos are really starting to try to get RJ Harvey more involved. Now, week 4, this Bengals game, it was easy to get Harvey way more involved late in the game because they were blowing out the Bengals. With that said, I still think that as we go forwards here, a lot of the Dobbins snaps are going to eventually go to Harvey. I think that his rushing yards total against this defense is a little bit low at 27.5 right now. So I like RJ Harvey over on 27.5 rush yards, minus 112 at FanDuel, which I think is best available as it stands right now. I had to close my odds screen for just a second and pop it back open, but that's what it stands. That's what it was at previous to this. Giants and Saints, next game on the board. I didn't do a whole lot with this game this week. It was very, very early money on the Saints that flipped them from underdogs to favorites, and it's kind of just stayed there for the remainder of the week. FanDuel's at minus 1.5. Saints right now. Rest of the market is 2. Total in the game has kind of been in the 41.5 to 42 range for the vast majority of the week. I struggle with these types of games. I've made this known before. I'm not the best in terms of capturing like rookie quarterbacks with small sample sizes. A lot of this is eye test, watching the games back. There's not a lot of data to work with. That's historically when I don't think I'm at my best necessarily. I say this about Jackson Dart. He obviously ran a ton in his first start last week, but they're going to have to figure out some way to open up the offense through the air. They cannot just have this guy scrambling a million times over and over. But without Malik Neighbors last week, the Giants' offense completely fell apart. 3.3 yards per play without him. That would be a dreadful number. They only really scored because the Chargers kept making mistakes all game long. 14 penalties for the Chargers, 2 interceptions, short fields that handed them points. So I don't really know what to make of the Giants' offense yet. I certainly wasn't impressed with Dart. Definitely wouldn't say that I think he's some sort of significant upgrade at all over Russ at this point. But who knows if that's going to be the case going forwards. New York's defense, however, they had a really good game. They pressured Herbert on 20 dropbacks. That was tied for second most last week. They held him to one of his worst passer ratings ever. It's a little bit skewed because Joe Alt got hurt in the game. Mekhi Becton, not there either. But the Giants are ranking 5th in pressure rate this year, and the Saints O-line has not protected Rattler well. Rattler's been able to overcome a lot of that, but New Orleans is not generating explosive plays. 31st in explosive pass rate. Their O-line is not holding up. I know Rattler's been steady, but he's going to face a lot of pressure in this game. And ultimately, that's why I can't get to the number that's here. I lean Giants at current market. I did not bet it. I'm likely not going to do anything with this before the game starts. I guess a slight lean towards the under 2, little bit, but nothing here, nothing from a props perspective. It is a game that I'm just going to have very little interest in the early slate today. Houston-Baltimore is our final game of the early slate. Nice balance today, by the way, which of all the days that I wouldn't want balance, it's when the Blue Jays are playing in the late window and we got 4 games, but whatever. It is what it is. Houston and Baltimore. So obviously massive move towards Houston this week, and that is entirely injury related as Baltimore looked pretty decimated. We did get a buy point on Baltimore around 2. That brought this number slightly down in some spots. I believe that was Toons' group, Feed Me, that released this one. Totals come all the way down as well. I will say the Baltimore injury report on Friday, like the final report, looked a lot better than Wednesday, Thursday. At least Ronnie Stanley was practicing. Kyle Hamilton was practicing. It was a little bit better. Overall, though, factoring it all into the equation, I still think that the number is short. You could start with Lamar Jackson, but the drop-off when he hasn't played for the Ravens to whoever the backup has been enormous. And remember, at times they had Tyler Huntley, Snoop Huntley, actually made a Pro Bowl, which is insane. But Cooper Rush is, I know people keep referencing like the 9-5 career record. I've seen a lot of Cooper Rush as a Cowboys fan. He's fine. But last year, dead last in yards per attempt, near the bottom of the league in completion percentage. There's more and more tape out on this guy. He's not pushing it downfield. This is a very good defense that Houston has with no injuries. Derek Stingley's playing. And I just, unless they got some serious surprises in the bag, going up against DeMeco Ryans and that defense, I see that being a complete challenge. And then you got their defense that's just in shambles, right? Like Madubuike's on IR now. Roquan Smith is out. Marlon Humphrey, Chidobe Awuzie, their top two outside corners are out. It's a mess for them. And without Madubuike, the Ravens' pass rush has evaporated. They have 65 pressures in 4 weeks. They never really had like a true bona fide stud edge rusher anyways coming into the year. I mean, I don't like Houston. I think they're bad. Their biggest weakness is pass protection, though. That O-line has been bad. If Stroud actually has time with the cornerback injuries for Baltimore, I think he can make throws. This is a Texans injury report that is completely clean, and a Baltimore injury report that is the worst we've seen all year. It actually reminds me of some going back to the COVID years, where there was like some sort of illness and COVID going around. Like I haven't seen an injury report as bad as Baltimore's since the COVID years. So still lean Houston at the current market price. And I mean, if the Texans can't win this game, it's a pretty big indictment on where that team is at right now. From a prop look perspective, everyone's talking Woody Marks. I love Woody Marks. Looks very explosive. His targets have gone up every game. He's getting more usage. 0 targets, 1, 2, 5. But I don't see a high likelihood that he's going to have to be used in the passing game today. I played Woody Marks under 2.5 receptions. It's pretty much widely available in the minus 110, minus 115 range. That Baltimore defensive front is really beat up. I like to play running backs over when you will have to scheme to like get rid of the pressure from the D-line. A lot of screen passes, swing passes out of the backfield. I don't think that's the case today. I think Houston will be very efficient just running the ball. And I don't know that Stroud is going to come under a ton of pressure. Okay, that's it for the early games. We'll move on to the late window in just a second. Quick reminder for those that don't know, after Sunday Night Football goes final tonight, as soon as Bills-Patriots is done, or if it goes into overtime, I guess, depending on what time. I'm not going to start this show at past midnight, but as soon as Sunday Night Football goes final, we're back live here tonight. It's myself, it's Clive Bixby. We break down all the games that were just played, and we start to give you the early reads and thoughts on Week 6. It's a pretty fun show if you're haven't tuned in. I know a lot of people in the chat can probably attest to it, but it's a great way for you to get in on some early numbers and get our really quick thoughts and first opinions on the games. Over the course of the past couple of years that we've been doing it, we've gotten some really good closing line value, very high ROI. So that's right after Sunday Night Football, right here on the Forward Progress YouTube channel. You see it up on screen right now. Just make sure you're subbed, turn on notifications. It's the easiest way to know when we're going live, and we will go live and get it. We do actually have the Browns plus 4.5 in this game from last Sunday night. So I am watching this. Turned out to be a pretty solid number, as are most that we end up giving on the show. Late window. Going to try to manage, again, baseball, football simultaneously. Not used to this. Last time the Jays were in the playoffs, or at least the last time they're seriously in the playoffs, was back in 2016. It was mostly weekday games, so I didn't have to deal with this. But either way, I'll have my eyes on all these. The one that I probably have the least interest in, other than potentially some survivor interest, is the Titans and the Cardinals. That's where we're going to start right now. Funny enough, we talked about this on Sunday night last week as well. What's your buy point on Tennessee? They're a horrible football team. Looks like they got bought up regardless. Didn't even need to get to 10. They got bought up down to 7.5. I think this is more an indictment on the Cardinals than it is a buying of Tennessee. The Cardinals have been quite bad this year. Both these quarterbacks are getting sacked a ton. Cam Ward's been sacked 17 times, but Kyler's been sacked 13 times. And for someone with his mobility, the offense just hasn't got into a flow. Losing both running backs obviously hurts. James Conner, Trey Benson, going to get a mix of Michael Carter, Mary DiMercato as well today. Downgrades. The only issue that I have with this, though, is that you have to consider the opponent on the other side of the ball. And when you look at Arizona, I'm not like a huge narrative-y guy, but you can't help but notice when you look through the Kyler Murray era that they have an extreme tendency to beat up on bad teams and fare poorly against good teams. It's kind of like what an average team would do, generally speaking. But you look at this year, I know they didn't necessarily like kill the Saints or the Panthers. In fact, the Panthers covered the game because they were down 27-3 and they mounted a late comeback. But these are the teams that Arizona typically does well with. And the Titans, I just don't think they have the person, like their pass rush. They have 4 sacks, second fewest in the NFL. They haven't been able to generate much. Tavondre Sweat being out, their nose tackle on IR, has really hurt them. They just don't have great personnel on defense. So this is one of those where, wow, we just got some inactives for Baltimore. I'll get to that in 1 second. Actually, I'm going to get to that right away. I'm just going to pivot really quickly. So Kyle Hamilton and Ronnie Stanley are both inactive. Those were not unexpected. Those were kind of like 50-50s. So you're going to see Houston money, I would expect, at some point now. That's just like another 2 massive blows to them. Pretty big. Like those are people that I had included 50-50 in my number. So I've probably been pushing closer to 3 at this point, which is, man, again, if Houston can't win this game, that's a tough one. Tennessee, Arizona. So back to that. The Cardinals have a pretty solid shot to move the ball here. They do. Their defense is pretty thin on the defensive line. Their depth, I mean, they got like 5 or 6 players that are either IR or out. Cornerbacks on IR. But again, you got to consider the opponent. Like, is Tyjae Spears being back going to bump the Tennessee offense all that much? Like, Calvin Ridley, we're not even sure he's going to play today. They have to have him go through pregame warm-up because he's dealing with multiple injuries, right? They can't afford a guy like that to be out of the lineup altogether. It's just a really tough game for me altogether. I could never bet Tennessee at the current prices. Lean Cardinals to handle business at home. Teaser options Cardinals. Survivor, I use some Cardinals as well, although I lost like 50% of my entries on the Rams anyways, so it's like at this point, that was a tough blow. Okay. I'll give a prop look and then react to more stuff here. I played Emari DiMercato under on receiving yards, 13.5. Now, I know people say, well, Rob, this is the pass catching back. You know, he's going to be the guy in on third downs. So this to me is a combo of game state play where seems very likely, based off the point spread, Cardinals will be leading in this game. So you no longer need to be dumping off, passes to your running back, but also using him more in pass protection. They do trust him more in pass protection, and that's one of the reasons that he'll be playing on third downs. And with the way that Kyler Murray's been sacked so far this year, see a lot of instances where he's just in there to pass protect. So Emari DiMercato under is what I played. Okay, so Brock Bowers officially out. That was mentioned earlier. That's obviously a pretty big blow to the Raiders. You now are down your starting left tackle and your best skill position player on offense. Tyler Smith. So I know Carlos said he's out. George says he's active, but he's only available in an emergency situation. So they're dressing him just in case other players get hurt. He could potentially come in, but that goes to show that he's not ready enough to play. 4 out of 5 starters down on the O-line. Again, the Jets are bad. Not good football team. But this is... You don't get scenarios like this too often over the course of the year. And to me, the market has not reacted enough. As I see the Mark Sanchez jokes coming. Man, that was quite a surprise yesterday, that Mark Sanchez story. Some weird stuff going on in that. I would really like to get the full story there. Okay. Keep it moving along here as the Browns are in the end zone. Hello, Njoku. Okay, looking good there. Looking good. Tampa Bay, Seattle. Really, really kicking myself for just never getting much on Seattle this week other than some leftovers. As it stands now, I really don't have an opinion on this game. Again, another game that we talked about on the Sunday reset last week where the Tampa Bay injuries got so bad, especially with Jamel Dean being out for them, that it moved through the 3 and up to 3.5. Even one sharp book is at 4 right now. The Bucs offense is really thin. Like Mike Evans being out, Bucky Irving being out, multiple O-line injuries still, right guard, right tackle. I mean, that's 2 of Tampa's biggest explosive threats. Deep balls to Evans, chunk plays from Irving. Baker has been great under pressure. His scrambling has been through the roof this year. But Seattle's defense under Mike McDonald, it's built to disguise. It's built to contain. Tampa loves to take these deep shots. But without explosive players, it's a little bit more challenging to do so. Now, I will say, I am somewhat surprised there wasn't a little bit of buyback on Tampa at the end of on the Friday injury report, with Seattle missing Devin Witherspoon, Julian Love, DeMarcus Lawrence on defense. I know that when they were DNPing earlier in the week, it was still kind of expected that they were going to play, but they're not. There was no buyback towards Tampa. So you can see that there's some pretty influential money on Seattle in this game. Seattle's O-line, they still lack in protection. I'm worried that Tampa's front could potentially create some problems for Darnold, but Clint Kubiak's offense is very structured. It's run heavy. You basically got to keep Darnold out of the obvious passing downs, and they've done a really good job with that this year. I do have faith in this offense as it stands right now, and I think that the way that this has moved is kind of settled right in on the right price. So too many unknowns, but factoring all that into the equation, I think this is fine. From a prop perspective, little bit of coach speak this week on getting Cooper Kupp a little bit more involved in the offense. I played him on some overs. I didn't go nuts with it. This is like more of a feel play. Again, I keep up with a lot of news. I try to a lot of coaches don't explicitly say things, but they mean certain things. I played Cooper Kupp over on receiving yards. Last I saw in market was 38.5 over -112, and FanDuel had the best available number there. But I do believe that they're going to try to get him a little bit more involved today. Detroit and Cincy is our next game. I got a little bit of a surprise there, and of all the sides to take money this morning, Cincy took what I call big boy money on game day. We don't see a ton of game day moves anymore, but they were bought pretty heavily across the entire screen this morning, and most sports books have settled at 9.5. There are some square recreational books out there still have a 10.5 on the board. I would almost scoop that instantaneously based off the way the market is priced. And listen, I get the difference between these teams. It's pretty stark. One is solid, one is not. Lions offense is elite. They lose Taylor Decker, who, not officially out, but this is the second week in a row now where he's 3 times DNP with a shoulder injury. Last week he played. This week, yesterday they elevated a tackle off the practice squad, and it looks like he's doubtful to play today. There was a very massive trenches mismatch in this game. Detroit's O-line and their run game against the Bengals D-line ranked dead last in adjusted line yards, dead last in yards before contact. that diminishes it a little bit. I still think Detroit's going to have a lot of success moving the ball today. The Decker injury matters, but when the D-line is that bad, I don't know that they necessarily need him, and I think the Lions recognize that, maybe, and that's why he's not playing this week. So I do still trust Detroit to move the ball, but I did have to bring my total number down just a little bit, where I was I had a pretty strong lean of all the totals left on the board today to the over here, but I kind of brought it down a bit where it's more borderline now. Now, the Bengals O-line is also a big liability. They give up a ton of pressure, 29th in sack rate. Lions pass rush has gotten a lot better recently, especially over the past few weeks. But I will say this. I think this is the low point for the Bengals offense. Like, Jake Browning has looked really bad, but context matters. Both games were against elite defenses, Minnesota and Denver. Detroit's secondary is very compromised right now. DJ Reed is on IR. Khalil Dorsey is out. Kirby Joseph is banged up. I have not seen the inactive list there yet. It would have had to go in about 10 minutes ago. Actually, no, it's a late game. We are not going to see it till later on. But Kirby Joseph is one to watch. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins should dominate these matchups. And I do think that there's a path to success here for the Bengals actually scoring in this game. So agree with the number coming off 10. My raw number was closer to 9.5 anyways. Small lean towards the over. I played Jake Browning over passing yards in this game. 219.5 over at FanDuel. Best available number in the market as well. I just think it's too low. With the state, you have one team favored by almost double digits on the road. So you're very likely going to get a lot of passing game state for the Bengals in this game. Against a secondary that's missing multiple corners, that has to cover Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I know Browning last few weeks, again, has sucked. Minnesota and Denver. This is different, in my opinion. Played the over there. Final game in the late window is Chargers and Commanders. Very differing opinions and schools of thought in this game, as we've kind of seen this number in market fluctuate between 2.5 and 3 all week. Obviously expensive 2.5s or expensive 3s, depending the way that you want to look at it. A little bit of slight amount of over money. Not even really today. Just a few clicks, I would say. I lean a little bit towards the under in this game. Commanders' defense was a mess last week. I watched the game back in full. Lots of miscommunications. Their linebackers were atrocious. They had no consistent pass rush. Justin Herbert is pretty lethal when he's kept clean, but obviously with both tackles being out, backups already struggling, I think Washington will get some wins here. I mean, the Chargers gave up pressure on nearly half of Herbert's dropbacks last week once Joe Alt left the game. And you can scheme around that a little bit from week to week, but you can't do it for the entirety of the game. You can't. So I don't think you see the Chargers as poor as last week offensively. I don't think you see them as great as they were early on in the year, somewhere in between. But you're now down to third and fourth string tackles, and that's very tough in the passing game. I wonder if the Chargers will go back to a run-heavy offense. They've started the year trying to pass the ball. Omarion Hamilton had a very good game last week. I think that they'll put a lot on him instead of Herbert in this particular game. And to me, that is one of the reasons that I would lean towards the under, especially when you consider Washington has been strong against the run. Top 10 success rate in EPA. Jaden Daniels is back. But, I know there's lots of thoughts on Jaden Daniels versus Marcus Mariota. I am a big Mariota guy, but I think people often overrate backups when they come in and look competent. Daniels is an upgrade. However, his scrambling with a knee brace would be a huge concern for me because that's his best weapon. I mean, his mobility is something that kept the offense afloat last year, especially with their third and fourth downs. That's concerning as soon as I hear that. Quarterback wearing a knee brace, who's kind of reliant on his legs. Like Jaden Daniels is not a pocket passer. You don't want to turn him into a pocket passer. They have a wide receiving group that's depleted without Terry McLaurin, without Noah Brown. Healthy teams, both these teams at full health, this is an easy over, in my opinion. At the current state of these teams, I would look towards the under in this game as I make it right on a key number of 47. Okay, more injuries coming in. This is a low-key one that a lot of people would know about. Thank you, George. Eric Stokes out for the Raiders. Again, I thought he was more likely to play than to miss in this game. So that's another one in the secondary for the Raiders. Prop looks in this game, nothing. Did not have a single prop that I played in this game this week or this morning. Finally, Sunday Night Football. Bills and Patriots. This is a really tough game to handicap right now with 3, what I would call key players questionable for Buffalo. I'll do a quick recap, Will, right at the end here. Buffalo laying 7.5 to 8.5 in market right now. And this total's kind of all over the place as well. 48.5, 49, 49.5 at FanDuel as it stands right now. I love Drake May. I've been very impressed through 4 weeks. I think he's operating in like the opposite of the 49ers system. So here's what I mean by that. There's certain spots in the league where I think quarterbacks are just going to look good because of scheme. We saw like Jimmy Garoppolo in San Fran look great. Brock Purdy. Now Mac Jones is the guy. To me, it's the complete opposite in New England. I don't know what they're doing as an offense as a whole, but I think he has to overcome a lot of it. And it's been the best they've had in years. Their top 5 success rate, 8 yards per play. They convert 76% of their first downs into another. That's a series conversion rate. That's very high. O-line has been holding up, 4th in adjusted pressure rate. And this Bills defense has been very vulnerable. But they've been very vulnerable without Ed Oliver and without Matt Milano, who both may return to the lineup again. And that's going to change the defense. It's not going to be great. They're still, last year, they were very reliant on turnovers. They will give up some yardage, but it's a pretty big difference maker. Pretty big difference maker. Other side of things, I don't see the reason to think that New England's going to slow down Buffalo. Buffalo's offense still one of the most versatile in football. They run a lot of heavy sets with James Cook. They lean on Josh Allen when they need to. Patriots defense, you avoid Christian Gonzalez basically at this point. And I mean, it's not like Christian Gonzalez erases someone in this game anyways, because the Bills don't really have a bona fide number 1. So this to me is truly a game where I'm waiting on inactives, which are going to come later tonight. I haven't done much here. And from a prop perspective, same thing. Haven't done much. I'll really quickly talk Monday Night Football because I do have a couple of leans in the Monday Night Football game. KC was the team that was bet out early in the week and kind of settled in market at some heavily juiced 3s right now. Total in the game been bouncing around, and we sit at 45.5. So I lean Jacksonville and the over in this game. Chiefs, they rank 6th in EPA per dropback, despite the fact that they've had wide receiver injuries all year. I do think Worthy's return gives Mahomes like a legitimate deep option again. I wonder how much of last week was just Baltimore's defense dropping like flies, but really got to monitor the status of Trayvon Walker for Jacksonville. He had wrist surgery. He's got a club on his hand. We don't know if he's going to play or not, but if he's not, that really puts a lot more pressure on Hines Allen on the outside. I do think KC will be able to move the ball. But Jaguars O-line has been very good in pass protection. Trevor Lawrence hasn't been able to like fully utilize that, but he does have clean pockets. They're getting a good running game going altogether. You look at KC's run defense this year, bottom 10 across all metrics. They're getting blasted off the line of scrimmage. I think that there's opportunity for offense on both sides in this game. I do. Sergio asks, is there any thoughts on KC under 46? I don't really like that, honestly. I don't. I think this is a game where both teams are going to score into the 20s and lean towards Jacksonville and the over on Monday Night Football. Okay, I'll do a quick recap for whoever asked me, for Will. I'll just go through the games game by game really quickly as they stand right now on the board. And then I will get into anytime touchdown scorers as well. I'm just going to have to ensure that the prices are available, so you're going to have to bear with me on these. But I'll go through the games really quickly right now. They're all out of order on my screen, but yeah, bear with me. Dallas and the Jets. I played a lot of Jets this week. I make them favorites in the game, and looks like you're getting some under money right now with another O-lineman being out for Dallas. But this to me is a very, very challenging situation for the Cowboys offense to overcome. Denver and Philly, I lean towards both Denver and the under in this game. My raw number is it's between like a 3 and 3.5. And I'm a little bit south of 44 on the total in that one. Houston, Baltimore played a ton of Texans this week. You're getting a bunch of Texans steam in market right now as Kyle Hamilton and Ronnie Stanley were ruled out for the Ravens. I would probably say that the fair in this game should be Houston 3 at this point. Giants in New Orleans, no strong opinion on this game at all. Didn't do anything with it all week. Raiders and Colts, played some Colts this week. FanDuel -7, -110 on Colts right now is the best price in market. I like that at current price with Bowers and Stokes being announced out officially today for the Raiders in that game. Miami, Carolina, no opinion here. I did play some early under in this game, but it has to be above 44, and there's 144.5 out there right now. I guess that one would be playable. Tampa Bay, Seattle, nothing here. I think market prices are very, very fair. Tennessee, Arizona, same thing. I guess a little lean to Arizona, and there's some -7, -120, but I would need better than that. I'd need like -7, -115 on Arizona. Washington Chargers, lean to the under as it stands right now. Best price I can see is a 48, -106. Lean under there. Detroit, Cincy, I don't think there's anything to do with this game at this point. If you didn't react to the Decker news on Cincy, probably don't need to. Listen, if you want to grab a stale 10.5, I would do that. But aside from that, nothing different. New England, Buffalo, waiting for inactives there. Don't have a strong opinion on that game. Okay. I'm going to pull up my BetStamp Pro prop screen as it stands right now for touchdown scores. Again, I bet, full disclosure, like 40 plus touchdown scores every week. Most of these guys that I bet are, I don't want to say like pure long shot ranges, because I bet guys that are like plus 120, 150, 200, so on and so forth. But for this show, I'm not going to go through every single edge. I like to give out some extreme long shots. So, reminder, these are all edges. I believe that they're good. However, they're not going to win every week. We're not going to get a Jeremy Ruckert every week or a Ryan Miller or whoever else we've hit this year at some insane prices. So, bet within your limits, little sprinkle on the game, have some fun with it. As I'm going to quickly go through the board here and just see what's still available. Okay, so we are going to start with the Las Vegas-Indianapolis game. And this is a absolute flyer, all right? Las Vegas-Indianapolis. We are going to bet Carter Runyon. Currently 27-1 FanDuel. That's a pretty good number. I see a very rogue 35-1 out there right now. My fair value now that Bowers is out is closer to 18, 19-1. I have no idea what his snap count is going to look like. This is just an absolute dart with Brock Bowers not playing, Michael Mayer coming off a concussion. Ian Thomas is still even ahead of Carter Runyon on the depth chart. But at that price, it is a 100% absolute must play. We are going to go Patriots and Bills for another long shot here. Patriots, Bills. Best price I see is 25 to 1. FanDuel's 20, and that would be playable as well. And that's going to be New England wide receiver Kyle Williams. Kyle Williams, some of you might have drafted him in fantasy in very deep leagues this year, and he really hasn't been involved at all with the offense. This is another situation where it's a little bit of coach speak. I don't know whether it's true or not. That wide receiver room is packed. Diggs, Keyshawn Butte, Mac Hollins, Demario Douglas. But it seems like they want to get Kyle Williams more involved. And again, at that price, I'm more than happy to take a shot with someone who I think is being priced at previous expectations. My fare on Kyle Williams is roughly plus 1650, 1650 on Kyle Williams. The next ones that I give out will be a little bit smaller. I think I'm going to go two more here. We're going to go Detroit and Cincinnati as the next one. And this one kind of no-brainer to me. I just want to make sure that the price is still here. Yeah. So FanDuel is 9 to 1. We got a plus 950. Anything above 8 to 1 is good in market on Khalif Raymond. We're going to go Khalif Raymond for the Detroit Lions. I mean, this is a high total at 49 and a half. We're talking wide receiver 3. We're talking punt return. Now, it depends. Always check house rules if you're betting a player who's on special teams. But those are in play on Khalif Raymond. My fair value on Khalif Raymond is about plus 700 or so, just slightly above that. And we're going to end with one more. And I'm going to bet this right now at the exact same time as you guys. Just going to confirm here. We're going to go Saints and Giants. I am going to hit this one at FanDuel. For those who have access to Prop Builder, that would be another spot to bet it. I'm going to take Spencer Rattler anytime touchdown as well. I think Rattler is way more mobile than people give him credit for. And I do think that he's going to be under duress a lot in this game. But especially near the goal line, could see him using his legs. So I'm taking Spencer Rattler at 7 to 1 in this. I price him just above 5 to 1, plus 518, plus 518. So that's 4 of them there. All long shots. Again, I'll throw out a bonus, but I'm not going to count this regardless. Also for Sunday Night Football tonight, the only reason I'm not going to count this, I'm going to bet Ty Johnson, but I could see Ray Davis. The utilization of the second back in Buffalo is driving me nuts right now. But this is a game. Buffalo big favorite. When they are big favorites, they tend to get the secondary running back involved quite a bit, including in the red zone. It does happen. Ty Johnson is in the 8 to 1 range right now. I'll throw that out as like a bonus as well. But yeah, these are long shots. So we're going to, hopefully one of them hits. But if it doesn't, hopefully you're not out much in throwing down just a little bit of a sprinkle on these games. Okay. That's everything for the show today. As a reminder, please, if you haven't done so, smash that like button right here on the stream. If you enjoyed the chat, if you enjoyed the show today, drop a 1 in the chat on the way out the door as well. Big thanks to everyone who hung out in the chat. I see all the comments in real time. It's very easy for me to keep this going, and love that you guys are pretty active over the course of the show. Shout out to our presenting sponsor, FanDuel. If you're not betting at FanDuel, I don't know what your problem is. You should bet at FanDuel. It's honestly a really, really good book. Special thanks to our producer, Barbara Alberts, keeping everything running smoothly behind the scenes. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, everyone. I will see you right back here on Forward Progress tonight, immediately following Sunday Night Football for the Sunday reset. Good luck with your bets today, everyone. Peace out.